politics of all of this. Our chief political correspondent, Norman Smith at Westminster. Norman, over to you.
And the politics are very complicated for David Cameron because gay marriage is an issue which divides his party from top to bottom. It also divides the coalition, of course, because the Liberal Democrats have said their MPs will be whipped to support gay marriage. David Cameron is going to give his MPs a free vote. And now you have the Church of England weighing in, warning it'll lead to the biggest rupture in relations between the established church and the state in 500 years. But what of the view of the Catholic Church? Well, I'm joined by Austen Ivereigh of Catholic Voices, a Catholic advocacy group. I mean, what is all the fuss about? Because the government say, look, church leaders, people in the church, you will not have to perform gay marriages. So what's the problem?
Well, there's two problems. One, the Church of England is saying, and I'm sure they're right, that this can't resist legal challenges in the future. In other words, somebody will say, we have the right to get married in a parish church and we're a same-sex couple, and they'll bring a case, maybe not in the next 5 years or 10 years, but in 15 years' time, they'll appeal to Europe. That's one problem, so it's not going to survive legal challenges. The second problem is that there is in British law only one institution of marriage, and both state and church provide two different ways into it. Now what the state is proposing, what the government is proposing, is to radically redefine marriage in such a way that the notion of marriage being held by the state and that held by the church will become incompatible, and that, the church is saying, is going to have huge implications for the whole relationship between the church and the government and the state in this country.
Yeah, but this is not unprecedented, is it? Other countries have gay marriage. I think even Catholic countries like Argentina and Mexico are looking at gay marriage.
Well, there are some countries which have introduced same-sex marriage. Some of them indeed are Catholic countries. They're ones where there's strict separation of church and state. So I think the same constitutional problems don't arise. And by the way, for the Catholic Church and other churches in this country, there won't be the same threat as there is to the Church of England. But the churches still feel very passionately about this, and they have absolutely every right, I think, to raise their voice, because we're talking here about an institution which is singled out and made different from any other kind of loving relationship in society because of the link with children, because a man and a woman have the capacity to bring into this world children, and for children to be raised by their biological parents. And the outcome of that is so good for them, for society, that the government and the church raise this institution up. What the government is proposing is to take away one of the fundamental distinguishing elements of marriage, which is male-female complementarity. And the point is, if a same-sex couple or marriage is indistinct from any other kind of relationship, then the state effectively will give up supporting marriage altogether and send a message to people over time that will have the effect of eroding marriage.
So what do you think the government should do? Because we know David Cameron is himself personally committed to pressing ahead with gay marriage.
We don't know where this idea came from. It suddenly appeared last summer in the party conferences. There's no mandate for it. It was never discussed in the general election. It was never in any manifesto. So, and we know from our own polling that 70% of British people want the current definition of marriage between a man and woman to remain. So it's an extremely unpopular move. There is no legitimacy for it. It's being driven by the gay rights lobby, by Stonewall, even though many gay people are extremely uncomfortable about it. And I think it's got everything to do with coalition politics and satisfying the Lib Dems. I think what the government should do is admit that this is far too complex and far too big a step, and frankly leave it for a future parliament and preferably never do it at all.
Austen Ivereigh of Catholic Voices, thanks so much. Simon, just to bring you up on the timetable, the consultation process will finish on Thursday, so you've just got a couple of days left if you want to respond to the consultation, and then the government is saying they will respond to give their view in the summer.
Norman.